Hello all. Today's class is on a very important component of food safety. It is HACCP or HACCP, and we'll also be discussing about food packaging. So let's see what HACCP or Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points is all about. The HACCP is a systematic preventive approach for food safety that was developed specifically for safety of foods. Now, HACCP plans and operating procedures are adaptable to any food production, processing, or distribution activity. So, food industry and others involved in food-related activities such as agriculture, animal husbandry, etc., they began realizing a number of years ago that there is the lack of proper food handling procedure or a standardized procedure, because it could and this lack can lead to a lot of problems like drastic situations concerning foodborne microorganisms, toxic chemicals, physical contaminants, etc. So the HACCP, we'll be seeing the history of HACCP. It was actually developed by the Pillsbury Company. You must be familiar with the Pillsbury Company. It deals with a lot of, we have Pillsbury Atta, then a lot of cake mixes, etc. So Pillsbury is a US-based company, and this company was the first one to develop the HACCP procedure. It introduced the HACCP procedure in 1959. So the concept was pioneered in the 1960s by the Pillsbury Company, the US Army, and NASA as a collaborative development for the production of safe foods for the US space program. Okay, so in 1973, Pillsbury published, the comprehensive document on hazard analysis, and in 1974, the Food and Drug Administration used HACCP principles in development of low acid regulations. In 1980s, major food companies began to utilize these principles. And in 1993, the Codex Alimentarius Commission adopted guidelines for the application of HACCP system to include 7 principles. And other updates were provided in 1997. Now the HACCP system for food safety is adopted as national guidelines or required national as a regulation in many countries. So what is the concept of HACCP? Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point is an international food safety system that deals with the control of factors that affect the ingredients, product, and processing of food. So this HACCP is a system that is widely recognized by scientific authorities and international organizations as the most effective approach available for producing safe food. So the goal of HACCP is to identify biological, chemical, and physical hazards and to prevent any measures, give preventive measures throughout the process, which would stop these hazards before they begin. So it is mostly a control approach. That is, you identify points where there is a potential or there is a chance of being a hazard, and then you give corrective measures so that you can prevent anything. Because food safety means after the food is spoiled, you can't do anything, right? So the main principle behind food safety is you have to prevent any contamination. So HACCP is all about preventive measures. So these measures would in turn prevent unsafe food from reaching the consumer. So how do you define, what is the official definition of hazard analysis and critical control points? It is, hazard analysis means it is a process of collecting and interpreting information on hazards and conditions leading to their presence to decide which are significant for food safety and should be addressed in the HACCP plan. And HACCP is a system which identifies, evaluates, and control hazards which are significant for food safety. So HACCP plan is a document which is prepared in accordance with the principles of HACCP to ensure there is control of hazards that are significant for food safety in the segment of the food chain under consideration. Now, what is a food chain? So, a lot of hazards can come into play from the farm to the fork, right? So you are making an orange juice. Your company, suppose it is adopted by food companies, right? So your company is producing an orange juice. Okay, you are manufacturers of orange juice. So the problem, the food can be contaminated from the stage of production of oranges. Okay, that is any type of pesticide residues can be there. Any other pests can be there in the orange, which can lead to lower quality of the juice. So from different points of the production or the food chain, there are chances for hazards. And so HACCP is all about identifying all those and preventing them. So there are 5 steps in HACCP. First is build your HACCP team. Now HACCP team is those people who are involved in to check all this from the time of harvesting till the till the product or the final product reaches the consumer. Now the next step is describe the products and identify the intended use and consumers. Then review products and processes. Fourth, outline the updated process and follow the HACCP principles. So we'll be discussing the steps. First is in order to apply or implement HACCP in your system or in your food company or food processing unit, what you're going to do is, first of all, you have to have a team. That is, it might be all those managerial people will be there. There will be somebody from the cleaning department. There will be people from the production department, etc. So all of the people who are involved in these food manufacturers should be aware of these principles. Then only it will be successful. If all the people, like even the workers, like the cleaning workers, should also be aware that you are implementing something, which means that you should be really careful about how to ensure that the facilities are clean all the time. So the first is product description. So after you have assembled the team, now you're going to describe your product. Now all the production units have who has a plan. They need to describe the product, what they are making, like what all ingredients are there. Then what is the name of the product, how the product will be used, type of packaging material, length of product shelf life, how long, what is the expiry date, and what temperature. Like some foods are frozen, which so they'll be specifying at what temperature they should keep it. Then milk, refrigeration. Then some will be should be kept in the freezer. So all these things should be specified. Then where the product will be sold, is it in the restaurants, is it in supermarkets, how, or retail units, wholesale, etc. Then products labeling instructions. If you are using a ready to eat product, how do you you will have to give some description about how to heat it, what temperature you need to heat it, etc. Then any special instructions for the product. If there is like don't keep it outside, or don't keep it in temperature below or above 20 degrees, something like that. So like say this is a product description example. Like the product name is chicken ball. It is a pre-cooked small ball shaped product prepared from chicken, salt, sugar, spice, flour, etc. So it is ready to eat, but in 1 to 2 minutes, that is, you have to fry it in oil. So it is something which is frozen or chilled. It is, you can 0 to 4 degrees Celsius you need to keep it, and the shelf life is only 2 weeks. Now the packaging is poly bag or vacuum sealed. You can see in a lot of like sausages, etc., burger patties and all, you get it on you get it packed, right? So they are all convenience foods. So this is how a product description should look like. Where is it sold? It's sold in retail store. How is it? What are the labeling instructions? What are the distribution condition, etc.? So distribution condition is like when you're transporting the product from the manufacturing unit to the retail store, also this it should be chilled. Then only naturally if if you're just loading it onto some normal truck, naturally the food will get spoiled. So that is why distribution condition, labeling instructions, all those things should be mentioned really well, so that a person will have a clear cut idea as to what the product is and how is it used and how is it packed, how is it distributed, etc. Now let's see the different principles of HACCP. Then like we had mentioned, like in the steps, review the products and the processes. So all of these steps, the products should be reviewed, like all the, you can the process, manufacturing process can be mentioned, like where all the chicken is bought from which place, and then after the chicken is bought, how is it processed, etc. Though, so all this the step by step process, like in a flow chart, that can be mentioned, and then you can outline the updated process, and then you have to follow the 7 principles of HACCP, which we are going to discuss now. So first one is identify potential hazards. The second one is determine the critical control points. Third one is establish criteria or critical tolerance levels. Fourth, establish a monitoring system. Fifth, establish corrective action. Establish procedures for verification is the sixth step and sixth principle. And seventh is establish documentation and record keeping. So we'll be discussing each of them in detail. The first principle is conduct a hazard analysis. Now, we have described the product. Okay. And now we're going to identify the potential hazards associated with food production at all stages, from primary production, processing, manufacture, and distribution until the point of consumption. Now, let's go back to the example of our orange juice. Now, we're going to pack our orange juice in small, plastic bottles, and we are procuring, oranges from different farms from across the country. So from there, and we are going to extract the juice, and the other like ingredients like sugar, etc., like sugar, then preservatives, and then we're going to pack them and we're going to sell it. Right now, from the time of production of these oranges, naturally you have to make sure that you're purchasing from good dealers, good manufacturers, etc. Then how is it going to be transported? If you want to go, if your plant is in Tamil Nadu and you're taking oranges from Himachal Pradesh or some, northern India, naturally there is a lot of transportation involved. Now, during the transportation also, it should be, if it is extremely, jam packed, there are problems with it there. So there is a likelihood that it is damaged. So how is it being transported, etc.? So all those, so we'll see, we'll ensure that from all these stages where we will discuss at which point there is a likelihood that there can be a hazard. Okay, so that is what is conducting a hazard analysis. So first of all, you need a process flow diagram. Okay, you have to detail all the steps involved in the process, from incoming raw material to the final products. That is, from the time the oranges are produced till the orange juice is packed and taken to the retail store. So after this flow diagram is made, then the HACCP team will identify all the hazards which would occur at each stage and describe preventive measures for their control. So the first one, first step could be like the oranges could, too much of pesticides can be used. Then if there is a limit for the amount of pesticide being used, then how is it being packed? So for each stage there will be hazards will be identified. Then are you going to store it? Where are you going to store it? In your go down, wherever it is. So is there a chance? So let's see, like here you have seen this. You're adding something to your this is your one step is there, like there will be different steps, and for each step there can be a possible hazard. Now in here, this example given here, in one of the steps, that is, you are adding some syrup. Okay, just imagine you're adding some sugar syrup from and you're going to pack it, and so that syrup or that packing media can contain Clostridium botulinum, which is a microorganism. So there is a chance for Clostridium growth. So what you have to do, you have to set the critical limit. So in order to control the growth of this Clostridium, you must ensure that the pH should not be more than 4.2 of the added syrup. Okay, so the syrup should have a pH which is less than 4.2. Otherwise, there is a chance, there is a risk that this Clostridium botulinum can grow. So how do you measure it? How do you check this? You can check it using the pH meter. So what are you going to monitor? You are going to monitor the pH, check the pH equilibrium every time. Like when are you going to check it? First time, every code, every hour, you can check the pH. Then where is it going to be checked? The packing media inspection area. So who can check it? There can be a quality analyst or an inspector. So this is the corrective preventive action. So if the pH is found to be more than 4.2, you can do what you can do is you can adjust the pH at the stage itself so that the final product is not affected. So at each of the stages, there is a hazard can be identified, or hazard can be there can be a possible hazard can be identified, and you can set the critical limit, control measures, etc., so that it is easy. So you can, for each of the determining the critical control point, that is called a CCP. So HACCP is hazard analysis and critical control points, right? So this critical control point comes from the term CCP, or critical control point, is the point, procedure, or operational steps that can be controlled to eliminate the hazards or minimize its likelihood of occurrence. So where is that point in that flow chart where there is a chance that contamination can occur? So all those areas are called as a critical control points. So where the control is critical to managing the safety of the product, these are called as the critical control points. Now the next is establish critical limits for preventive measures. Just like we have mentioned in the in the packaging media, there is a chance that if it is the pH is above 4.2, there is a chance for Clostridium group. So here also this is the critical limit, that 4.2. So this is the limit wherein beyond which there is a chance for growth. So the critical limits describe the difference between safe and unsafe product at the CCPs. So this must involve a measurable parameter, because you can't just say, it should be acidic. You should mention what is the pH. You can't just say it will taste this thing. It should not be something which is subjective. It should have a measure. Like, for example, you have to have a temperature. If like when you are transporting chicken and you're going to make it into sausages, now the chicken, the temperature should be maintained at below like maybe 2 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Celsius. Now, if the temperature goes above, if the temperature is seen as 10 degrees Celsius, naturally you have to keep a check. Now the temperature should be below 4 degrees Celsius. Then only, that is what it should be, a measurable parameter. You need to have a measure like this. This is this degree Celsius, or the pH, etc. Next one is establish a system to monitor the control of the CCP. Now, how do you measure a pH? So how do you monitor the pH? Now, you can use a pH meter at that particular point. So establish procedure from the results of monitoring to adjust the process and maintain the control. Now, the HACCP team should specify monitoring requirements, where you have set the critical limit, and now you have to establish a system to monitor control of the CCP by scheduled testing or observation. So you should tell the workers that after this process you need to check the temperature, or you need to check the pH, and you should ensure that it is below this 4, so that it does not get spoiled. So you should mention all of those people who are involved in the team to ensure that it is checked or monitored. Like every hour you can check it, or you can check it in every batch of the product, etc. Now the next one is establish corrective actions. Now after you have given a set of guidelines, this should be the critical control point, and this is how it should be done. Then you have to keep monitoring, and you have to do corrective action whenever required. So if the pH is low, pH has become increased, then you can add any acidic products, etc., so that the pH is under control. So the corrective action procedure and responsibility is need to be specified. What could be done if you have found that the pH is increased? How can you reverse the problem? So this will need action to bring the process back under control, and action to deal with the product manufactured when the process was out of control. So is it okay to add acid, or which acid to add, how to add, in what quantity? All this is mentioned in the establishing the corrective actions, because anybody can't do it. Like, it should be a proper scientific method, should be a standardized procedure, then only it will be good. So you just can't pour whatever acid comes to your mind. No, it's not like that. You should have a safe procedure for that also. The next one is establish procedures for verification to confirm that the HACCP system is working effectively. So for each step, this HACCP, for each step, this you should ensure that the critical control points are mentioned, and the CCPs are under control. Then how do you establish procedures? So there are three main procedures. That is, the verification can be broken down into three main stages, or validation, verification, and reassessment. So validation is any test that the process with the clinic. So you should test something. Like for example, validating something, that is, if it is doing the proper work, that is how if your procedure is doing what it's supposed to do. Like you are taking the temperature. Now how the temperature should be measured at critical control points. Like wherever you need to measure the temperature, it should be done. Okay, so the test that process with the critical limits prevent, eliminate, or reduce the hazard to acceptable level. For example, if a hot deli or a like sausage etc. is deli table is to maintain food above 140 degree Fahrenheit, then validate that it does. Okay, so that it should be done. Then verification, assure that all the information is written down, documented, and the cleaning equipments are clean. Verify whatever is being written. Even if you have all these flow chart, everything is done, but if you're not practicing it, then there is no use, right? The next one is reassessment. Keep checking. Consider potential new hazards. Do at least annually, after you have established all those things. That is, like, you have set a flow chart, you have set the critical control limits, keep a redo it. You can do it annually. Every year you can check the procedure again, consider potential new hazards, etc. Like for example, when COVID came into being, naturally they had to take more stringent steps for safety of the foods. Like a little more cautiously they had to do it, because the times have changed, and the virus risk also should be taken into consideration. Like that, you can consider potential new hazards. If there is any change in preparation or raw materials, raw ingredients, etc., there should be a reassessment conducted. Like if you have all this while you are taking product raw materials from Gujarat, and then after some time the supply has stopped, so you have to take products from Himachal Pradesh. So naturally there will be more transportation time, and there can be changes in the product quality, etc. So that is what you have to do, reassessment annually. Now, the last principle is establish documentation concerning all procedures and records. So all the steps, everything that is mentioned should be documented. Records must be kept, because HACCP can, if you have a production unit, and if you are, following the HACCP, then there are inspections. You are, there can be inspections, so that it is verified that you are doing it properly. So for that, you need to have the proper records that to demonstrate that the HACCP system is being operating under control, and appropriate corrective action is taken. This will demonstrate a safe product manufacture. So recording, like documentation and records of all the procedures undertaken should be done. Now, how do you implement the HACCP? Now, lot of for HACCP to function properly, there should be support from different departments of the company. Like HACCP, if you are a food manufacturing company, it's not just the responsibility of the food, manufacturing place. There are a lot of different departments should come together. The management should be supportive of it. It's not just the food technologist or the person who is doing it. It's a collective effort. Now, the success of HACCP depends on the behavior and commitment of all the plant employees for food safety. So everybody should be educated about this. The management must provide financial and philosophical support to HACCP, because it demonstrates an awareness of the benefits of the program. Naturally, there should be, you need to make, you need to buy new equipments, like you need to have a pH meter, you need to have a lot of temperature, like thermometers, etc. So naturally, financial support is also needed. So the employees will not take HACCP seriously if it does not receive visible support from the supervisors or the upper management, right? Then establishing a HACCP team. So HACCP is a program for the entire company. So a team of individuals from different areas of production should be involved in developing the HACCP plan. And how do you train these employees? So all the employees should be given HACCP training, but at different levels relating to their responsibility. So if you are somebody from the manufacturing department, give them instructions relating to that. If you are from the housekeeping or the cleaning department, give them instructions of to what they should do. So everyone at the facility in contact with the product should receive an overview of HACCP as well as information regarding the company's policies, procedure, etc. Now, what are the prerequisite programs for HACCP? What all should be needed? First one is facility. Good manufacturing practices should be done. Like good manufacturing practices means that the raw material should be good. The procedure should be done in a very good manner. Different GMPs. It's called as good manufacturing practices are also called as GMPs. So while manufacturing, while packing, while holding all this, practices should be good. The production equipment, the equipment and utilization must be calibrated for precision control. Like calibration means like it should be like sometimes what happens is, like we have weighing machines at home and etc. So what happens is sometimes the zero goes it can be different. So what happens is you won't get the correct measure. So time to time it should be calibrated so that it gives the correct measure. Then standard operating procedure or SOP should be there, which the procedure which has to be followed throughout the food chain to maintain the quality and safety of the product. So like when you're dealing with food processing companies, you will not make these foods just like as we do it at home. Like if you are so used to making curries at home, what you do is you don't measure. Sometimes you just just add some amount of sugar, some amount of salt, etc. But in the case of a company, it should be standardized procedure. It should not be different from each time. So if you're making a juice, it should be the same taste. Like for example, you have drank fruity, it will taste 10 year, I mean the same everywhere, right? Even if you're drinking fruity from Mumbai or from Tamil Nadu, it should taste same because it should follow a standardized procedure. So that is why they have to have a standard operating procedure. Then storage and handling controls. Storage conditions should be strictly adhered to, and the heat, the handling protocols. What all there will be like different protocols how to minimize contamination. So all those protocols should be correctly followed. Then suppliers control. Naturally, even if your company is being very clean and everything, if your suppliers are not good, the ingredients, whatever the food additives, you're not buying it from good sources, naturally it will be affected. So suppliers should also be aware that we have a strict level of food safety measures. We are so we need the top quality for everything. Then product specification, we should develop written specification for all the ingredients. You need to specify that this is the if you want to buy sugar, you need to mention like this is this your sugar should be of this moisture level, or this kind of you should not, the moisture level of the sugar which you are supplying should not go beyond this, etc. Now personal policies, like all the policies and procedure for the employees must be spelled out. Regular trainings for good manufacturing procedures, sanitation, personal safety should be organized by the company, so that from time to time, like new employees can be joining you, or they should give a reminder every now and then. Then traceability, there must be provision for the recall of customers complaints handling. For example, for each of the products, we know that there is something called as, like any food product you see or any medical product you see, there is something called as a batch number. Like they will have the manufacturing date and the batch number. So for example, if you are buying orange juice and you've seen that there is an off taste, a very bad taste is there, you're going to complain to the person. They will ask you what is the batch number, and if multiple people have complained from this batch number, so you can see, so the person the manufacturer will be aware that in that batch there's something wrong. Like there must be some problem happen. So what you can do is you can recall the entire product. Recall the entire product means you have to take it back from all the stores, from wherever you have supplied. You have mentioned, you have received some complaints from the consumer, so you need to recall the products. For example, like long time back, Maggie products were recalled from the entire market. For a long time, Maggie products were not at all, Maggie noodles were not seen in the market because of there was a report that, it contained a lot of MSG, the amount of MSG was too much. So because of that, the entire product was recalled from the market. Now, the next one is waste management. The waste disposal is very important, because naturally if you're hoarding all the waste in the corner of your facility, naturally it will cause a lot of problems to the product of safety, etc. Even if you have all the other good systems and if your waste management is not proper, definitely it will affect your food safety. Then product testing, there should be facilities for getting the product tested for different physical, chemical and microbiological profiles. So in the food production facility unit itself, you can have a lab, or you can outsource this if you're not a big institution, or I mean big organization, you can test it elsewhere also, so that it ensures that your product is safe. So how do you manage the HACCP systems? So success of HACCP program is depending on the facilities and the people. All the equipment should be there. The employee should be well aware. The FDA, or the Food and Drug Administration, recommends that managers and employees be properly motivated and trained if the HACCP program is to be successfully reduce the occurrence of foodborne illness. Then HACCP principles offer a lot of advantages like reduction in product loss, increase in product quality, better control of product inventory, consistency in product preparation, increase in profit, increase in employee awareness and participation in food safety. So these are the different aspects of HACCP. Now we'll be discussing about another aspect, that is food packaging. Now food packaging is how you package, how this is especially for processed foods, how it will reach the consumer or the ultimate consumer. How is a consumer getting the food in his hands? So packaging is a combination of science, art, technology. So it is an integral part of production, storage, handling, distribution, retailing and end use. So it is the last output of production, but the first input of marketing. Now marketing, here it mentions, like, if you have a beautifully packed product, it's very easy to market it. Like, the consumer only sees the package. So if the package is really attractive, it will turn eyes and you will get a lot of consumers. Even if your product is the best in the market, but if your packaging is bad, then it will not get sold. So that is why food packaging is very important. So packaging acts as a tool or instrument for marketing. So functions of packaging is performed by 3 P's. Remember the 3 P's. First is preservation, protection and presentation. Presentation be the look of it. Preservation, naturally you're packaging it so that it won't get spoiled for long. The protection of the contents, etc. So these 3 P's are very important, and it is applicable to all consumer products: preservation, protection and presentation. Please remember these 3 P's. What are the advantages of packing? Naturally, packing will, prevent any moisture, gases, odor, microorganism from entering into your food. Then it is inert, and do not so this a very important quality of packaging material is that it should be inert. It should not react with the product. That is, if you are packaging something in your tin can, that tin should not react with whatever is there in that package. That is why it should be inert. It should be suitable for heat processing. For example, the tin, like tin fish and all, it should be the tin should be such that it has to pass through high pressure and temperature, then only it will be sealed. So the packaging material should be sturdy enough so that it can resist that amount of temperature and pressure. Then some packaging are reusable and recyclable, some are resealable. So like you have resealable plastic packs. Then high and low temperature resistance can be done. Then the packaging should be rigid to allow stacking without any container damage. The packaging should not taint, pollute or affect the quality of product packed in it. The packaging can be even be colored for protection from sunlight. Like, for example, for oil and all, some oil, there is a chance for it can be spoiled due to exposure to sunlight, so it can be colored. What are the packaging components? Different packaging components are there. There is like a unit pack, intermediate pack, outer shipping container, inner packaging components and external reinforcements. So there is also different types of ways in which you can pack it. There is a primary package which actually this is for example, in a your packaging chocolates. So there will be a primary pack which actually gives a the individual that chocolate a packaging. Then that will be given a secondary packaging, then a tertiary, and then there will be a quaternary package. So let's see what are the different unit pack is there. There is a unit pack, and unit pack is like when the unit is considered to be a package containing a single unit. For example, a toffee or a chocolate, it is wrapped. Any whatever unit is being packed, it should be able to protect the product against any deterioration. So it is the individual packaging. So the material selected for unit pack should have adequate functional properties to serve such function. So this is like the usual retail pack. Like you see these unit packs in the, what do you say, the shops, retail shops, etc. For example, your chocolate, whatever small packaging it comes in. The next one is intermediate packs. Intermediate pack is all the unit packs being further given another packaging. That is called as intermediate pack. For example, it comes in pack of 10, pack of 50, etc. These are the intermediate packs. The next one is the outer or the shipping container. So all these intermediate packs will be kept in any carton boxes or wooden boxes or bags, etc. So that is the intermediate packs. So these are termed as transport packages, like whatever is being transported from the trucks, big trucks, etc. So it will give a lot of protection to the contents from, journey hazards such as shock, vibration, climate hazards like rain, dust, etc. So that is what is the outer or the shipping container. Now the next one is packaging component is inner packaging component. There might be, components that are given to transport like materials like for example, when glass bottles etc are used, you need to have a lot of cushioning material like thermocol, polystyrene or polyethylene, paper cuttings, wool, etc will be given, so that it will protect the pack components. The next one is external reinforcement. Like after the shipping container, it is, it can be reinforced with, plastic strap or metal strap, so that, it does not affect, like it will not go off, the packaging might not, it will not tear, etc. So that is like avoiding bursting in case of failure, etc. That is what is reinforcement. So these are the different components of packaging. So what are the different packaging materials that can be used? Now there are two types of packaging material. That is the primary packaging material and the ancillary packaging material. So primary packaging material can be different types, like it could be, for example, chocolates. If you can, some might be available, if toffees can be available in plastic, like then some might be available in cellulose based material or paper kind of starch material, then regenerated cellulose, then cellophane, like something like it looks like plastic. Then jute can be used, like for rice and all, you have jute bags. Then aluminum foil can be used, plastic films, plastic sack. So many different types of materials can be used. Now cellulose based materials, like they are available in different forms like paper, paperboard, etc. Now 180 GSM paper is usually used in paper boards. Like different types of packaging can be used, like in if you're in a restaurant, etc, you can use it in tissue paper. Then coated butter paper can be used, art paper, craft paper, high gloss paper, parchment paper, all those can be used for packaging your foods. Then paper boards are of different types, like coated board, triplex board, asphalted board, gray board, mill board, clay coated board, etc. Then regenerated cellulose or cellophane, this is what is seen in the picture over here. This is regenerated cellophane. Then different types of cellophane papers are used. There is moisture proof sealable transparent cellophane, which is called as MST. Then colored MSCT, which is like moisture proof sealable transparent colored cellophane. This can be available in different colors like yellow, green, blue, etc. So that can be colored. Then anchored cellophane, then moisture proof saran coated cellophane, MX60. So these names you can see, you should be able to know that these are the different packaging available, materials that are available. Then aluminum foil, jute materials, etc can be used for packaging. Then other like plastic films can be used. Then what are the different types of plastic, polymeric material that can be used is LDP. You must have seen in different packaging, the name will be mentioned as LDPE, HDPE, that is low density polyethylene, high density polyethylene. Then LLDPE, these are all different types of plastics. Then bioxily oriented polypropylene, PS, PVC, PET bottles. You have seen, water bottles, etc., are seen as PET bottles, like polyethylene terephthalate. Then polycarbonate, polystyrene, polyamide or nylon, then tubular quench polypropylene, TQPP. So there are all these are different types of packaging materials that are used, and some, there will be specification like these spices should be uh, packed in low density polyethylene or LDP, or metallized PET bottles, adhesives, paper, etc. It could be either in each of these categories, and snack food can be categorized or should be packed in these type of packaging materials, and mouth refresher. So for different type of packaging, these are the different containers are specified. Now other materials are also there, like rigid packing materials, like those big, when you're stacking different things, like for example, you have seen these milk cartons, etc., being stacked in these plastic crates. This blue box over here, it's called as a plastic crates. Now plastic crates can be used, glass containers, glass jars, like when you're buying ketchup, etc., you can see it in glass jars or ampule, etc. Then metal containers can be used, tin containers can be used, like tin fish. Then plastic containers like plastic bottles, drums, barrels, etc. Then plastic crates are there. And then wooden containers are there. Then fiber drum, like you have certain things in fiber drums. Then plywood containers can be used for certain things. Then aluminum collapsible tubes, you see, like how those tubes which in which some colors, etc., can be seen in these types of tubes, will be where of colors, etc., like color paste and all, you can see it, which are packaged in aluminum tubes or plastic tubes, etc. Then paper based cartons are available. So these are the different types of packaging material that are used for food packaging. So hope it's clear to you.